My friends at Easy Cater are workplace catering pros, helping you find food for everything from daily employee meals to staff meetings and special events. Visit easycater.com/leaderassistant to find out more.
I'm Hayley Cole. Today's leadership quote comes from Sev Cavagioli. Do not ask your team to do something you are not prepared to do yourself.
The Leader Assistant podcast exists to encourage and challenge assistants to become confident, game-changing leader assistants.
And here's your host, my dada.
Hey friends, today's sponsor is Life Squire. They were founded by a former executive assistant looking to create a healthier relationship between current assistants and their clients. They found their niche in placing assistants in positions where you and your executive can thrive. If you're an executive assistant, they would love to help. You can visit their website at lifesquire.com/leaderassistant or call them at 405-889-4430 to find out how they can help you. lifesquire.com/leaderassistant. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Leader Assistant podcast. I'm excited to be speaking with Hayley Cole today. Hayley is an executive assistant at BlackRock. She supports the head of product development, and they work with ETFs, indexing, and investments. Hayley, how's it going?
Good, thanks for having me on the podcast, Jeremy.
Yeah, and what part of the world are you in right now?
So I'm in Hertfordshire in the UK, locked down.
Yes, as we all are, unfortunately. Can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, you're part of an organization at BlackRock called GAIN. Can you tell us what GAIN stands for and kind of what you're about and how you've advocated for the admin community at BlackRock?
So GAIN stands for the Global Administrative Initiative Network, and it's the community that supports all the administrative professionals within BlackRock. And how we're set up to engage, foster and enhance all of our community's talents. And as a network, we provide resources, development opportunities, educational opportunities. But the wonderful thing is it's designed for assistants by assistants.
That's great. And I guess today, it'll be a little while before we publish this episode, but today is Administrative Professional Day, the day we're recording this, April 22nd. And you mentioned it's the second anniversary of GAIN. Is that right?
It's the second anniversary of the launch of Global GAIN, where all of our regional networks came together. So it's a pretty special day for all of us.
Awesome. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. What was your very first job, and what skills did you learn in that role that you still use today at BlackRock?
My very first job, straight out of school, I worked in a warehouse packing Reebok socks, which is a bit different. It was a summer job until I started college, and it was I did it with a friend, and I think one of the lessons that I took away from that was don't be too proud to do what you're there to do. Listen and absorb the instructions you're given and get on with it.
That's great. So how did you end up becoming an assistant, and why'd you kind of embrace that role of an EA?
My journey to becoming an assistant was, I would say, a secondary choice. I originally had planned to be a performer on the West End stage, but I had a really bad back injury when I was younger, so that put a stop to all of that. I think organising things and people has always been in my blood, and I'd organised charity events at school, so naturally, performing not being my first option, organising and administration was the obvious choice.
So what do you love about the role of being an EA?
I love the people. They really make it for me, whether or not that be my executives or the fantastic admin team that I work with. I like being involved, and I think that's a really crucial part for me. Having oversight over what your executive does and working with their leadership teams and seeing it all come together and being a part of that is important for me. And I would say it's a baseline that I need to have in an administrative role.
Awesome. So how do you work to anticipate your executives' needs?
I kind of go with the stop, look and listen approach. I just try to absorb everything that's going on around us, whether that be emails, conversations, participating in meetings, and listening and really just taking a temperature check of what's going on, what the priorities are, and the mood of the teams and the people that we're working with.
So what would you tell someone who is on the fence trying to decide whether or not they want to become an assistant?
I'd say go for it. I'd say be really clear with yourself what you want to get out of it and which industry you want to be an assistant in, because I think that's important.
How did you decide what industry you wanted to be in?
I started off, I did a temp role at a local finance company, and I have a wonderful friend called Lorraine, and she was one of the only female brokers on her desk up in the city. And I met her a few times after work, and it was really fun back in 2000, and there was so much going on, and it just looked really appealing. So I made sure I had the minimum requirement that was needed for my CV. And then I started interviewing for roles in the city.
Nice. So let's get a little bit humbling for a minute. What was the biggest mistake you made as an assistant?
I booked an itinerary and I had read it. The flights looked okay. I made the assumptions that the hotel that I had requested was fine. It was not. It was in a different city, and it was Fashion Week. So
Oops.
it was, yes. So instead of getting the 5-star accommodation that I assumed I had booked, we ended up in something that looked like the Travel Lodge. And I was so apologetic about it. I pride myself on attention to detail, so it was mortifying for me for that to happen.
Wow. So what's one productivity hack that you can't live without?
It's my tube map approach. So for all the people that I manage, we have a color coding system, and we have 6 core colors. And if we look at a diary and we see something is in dark red, we know that it's external, so it automatically draws your eye to it. And we have various other colors that says if something's a call, if something's a team meeting, if something's internal but important. For me, when I have a host of diaries in front of me, it's an automatic attraction to the colour that I know that the meetings are associated to. And I've used that since starting back in 2000, and I still use it today.
Wow, yeah, sounds like a very productive system. So if you could snap your fingers and instantly give all assistants more of something, what would it be?
I would say confidence that their contribution to their teams, their own little ecosystems, are just as important as everyone else that is in those teams. We are all there for a purpose, and we are all there to contribute, and everyone's contribution is important.
Love it. So as part of GAIN, this global admin network, you all do a lot of networking. So what tips would you have for other assistants when it comes to networking?
I would say just show up, in whatever your comfort level is. If it's a group chat, participate. If it's an in-person networking event, just go. There are so many people, so many like-minded people that you can meet, that you can get tips and hints, and just being able to be among your peers and people that go through what you go through on a daily basis, and to share your stories. And it's just good to turn up and talk and participate.
Yeah. So what about development? How can assistants grow their existing skills and develop new skills?
I think growing their existing skill set is, I find that I learn a lot from others. I work with a wonderful group of ladies, and I have done so for over a decade, and there's not a week that goes by that I don't learn something new from one of them. And it's just being on listen mode as well, just to absorb people's working methods, how they feel about things, and just wanting to be part of the development conversation, and knowing what's important to you and what areas that you're confident in, and confident sharing what you've learned in those areas, and also what you're not so confident in and what you do want to learn more about, and just kind of having an honest conversation with yourself as well.
Yeah, so what would be a resource or book or course or any sort of training resource that you would recommend to assistants?
In the UK, we have a wonderful association called EPA, and the courses that they run through that association are so relevant. Each time something new comes out, I think, how have they thought that up? Do you know what I mean? We thought we could know everything about what we do in as assistant, and then there's a new angle. So I find that a really helpful resource. And they've been doing a lot of free online stuff as well during the COVID-19 outbreak. So they've actually been reaching a lot more people. And I found that element of being able to share more has brought people closer together.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the assistants who are feeling undervalued, not being recognized or respected. What is something that assistants can do when they find themselves in those situations?
I'd say talk about it with your peers. Sometimes people are experiencing the same situations as you, and sometimes coming together and having an open conversation about that can bring solutions to the table. And it's really helpful. It's something that I find extremely helpful. I think also be really clear about what is happening and having all the facts of the situation, whether that be for yourself or who you're working for. I also find really understanding your purpose in your role makes being included a lot clearer. And I think that leads to you feeling more valued.
Yeah, that's great. So you sit on the Diversity and Inclusion Committee for BlackRock. What's one thing that we all can do as assistants to cultivate diversity in our workplace?
I think being part of the conversation at whatever your comfort level is, everyone's contribution, everyone's feelings and opinions count for something. If you're not confident enough to stand up in a town hall or a meeting and say what you're feeling, there's various different outlets that you can get your point across. There's emails, there's chat groups. I've used in the past a great system called Rungway, where you can submit anonymous feedback. It's being part of the conversation. The more people that is part of it, the better the results will be.
What about interruptions? What's your best tip for dealing with constant interruptions?
That's a really tough one. I work 40% remotely and 60% in the office. For me, I kind of plan for my interruptions because I know when I'm in the office and I'm working from there, I know that I'm physically there. People can see me. People drop by your desk. Again, being open. It's okay to say, I'll get back to you, or you'll follow up with them, or if you know what the topic is that they're approaching you about and you can give an update, give a quick update. I learned a really great skill many, many years ago called the 2-minute rule. And if you can get it done in 2 minutes and it's off your desk and off your to-do list, if you're comfortable doing that, do it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's also key what you mentioned about working from home and then working in the office. Just there are different interruptions to expect, so just preparing for both. It's great.
Absolutely, and I for the time that I do work remotely, I try to plan the tasks that I do from home that need a level of concentration, whether or not it be thinking time, scoping out meetings and events that need to happen in a certain order, whether or not I'm dealing with a huge pile of expenses and I just need a couple of hours to work my way through them until the very end. Those are the sort of tasks that I save for home, but now we're all home at the moment. It's trying to get the balancing act of having the time to think about things and plan things out versus we're doing everything in the same space at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, one of my favorite questions to ask is, what makes an assistant a leader?
Oh, what makes an assistant a leader? I think clearly knowing your purpose in your role, being able to positively contribute to your executive success. We are ambassadors for our executives, and we need to act accordingly. I see myself as a gateway to enable the highest level of productivity for everyone that I work with. I don't see myself as a gatekeeper. I'm a facilitator for my executives' goals and objectives.
Love it. Couldn't put it better myself.
Thank you.
Awesome, Hayley. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to just kind of share your story. And I love what you guys are doing at BlackRock and with your global network with GAIN. So keep up the good work, keep leading well. And is there anything that we can do to support what you're up to, or somewhere we can find you online?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn at, under Hayley Cole. You can find me on Instagram at Hayley_L_Cole and Twitter at H_L_Cole.
Awesome. And I'll put those on the show notes so people can get to them easily and reach out and say hi to you and follow what you're up to.
Fantastic.
You can check out today's show notes at leaderassistant.com/79 to connect with Hayley. Thank you, Hayley. It was a wonderful conversation. I look forward to seeing you again someday. All right, we'll talk to you next time.
Please review on Apple Podcasts. GoBulls.com